How's everyone doing? Hey, Graham.
Consumer confidence report just came out, lower than expected, and markets didn't really move on it.
So, consumer confidence a bit low. U.S. has made military strikes within the last 72 hours. Ceasefire has already been broken, and like you'd expect, the VIX is down 8%, and the market's up 1%, just as anyone would
Just as you
expect
do
under
it
these
up.
conditions.
And gold is down 2%.
Unbelievable. Lydia, Jean, Barbara, Lester, Joe, Pete, hello, Susan, hello, Jim, Denise, some Zoom users in there as well. Pat, hello. Hope you all are doing well. Hi, Cynthia, RJ, Stacy. Said gold is down. Yep, gold. Risk off assets. Gold down now 2.3%, taking a little extra hit here at the next
Hmm.
last couple of minutes. Uh, Graham, I keep getting the same question over and over again, which is how do I close a spread if I want to close it early? Um, do you want to walk through it, or let me grab the screen and give a two
Yeah, you
second
can do that.
example of that? Okay, so I've been getting this question a whole lot. And so I just want to take 1 minute. Now, not everyone has the same platform. Not everyone's going to be on ThinkOrSwim, obviously. But let me show you it because it's going to be a similar function. And by the way, guys, this is where you can use ChatGPT and YouTube to help you out if you have questions. I like using YouTube so I can see it visually. If I'm learning a new style of trade or a new broker, hey, how do I do this kind of trade on Robinhood or Tasty Trade or whatever the case is? So for me, seeing it visually is a great way to do it, but you can also ask ChatGPT and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of people have asked, okay, how do I close out a spread if I want to close it early? Now, you guys probably know from the Income Machine master classes, on most of these, I'm planning on letting them expire for a full potential profit. So you can see all my Income Machine trades that I have stacked up here over the last couple of weeks. By the way, I'm feeling pretty great about all of them, even these ones that are showing a little bit down are actually looking great, like NOW. I'm actually looking pretty good on this one as well. The spread might just be a little bit wide. Got a couple that are closer to expiration, like NEM here and XLC, that are looking beautiful. And hey, we're up $800 on the day. So loving the Income Machine stacking up those profits. But that's not the point. The point is, how do you close a trade? Well, if you want to close a trade, once it's filled, you just want to create the closing order ahead of time. So if you're on ThinkOrSwim, that's usually a right click and closing order. Like if I go to MS here and I right click on it, one of the first options I'm going to see here is create closing order. Now, if you're on Robinhood or Tasty or something else, it might be a little bit different. You might click it and then it opens the trade menu, and then you click, close trade or create closing order. But whatever broker you're in, what you're going to do is you're going to create a closing order ahead of time. But instead of just closing it for the value that it's at right now, you're going to put what we call a limit order. So if I click create closing order, and then over here, I'm going to go to sell 10 vertical MS July 11th. Now, the reason I'm selling the vertical is because this is a call debit spread. So I paid a debit to open, and I'm going to sell it for a credit to close. One of the reasons I like call debit spreads is they work just like regular call options in terms of the math. You want to buy it cheap and sell it for more. So you always want to, buy low, sell high, just like you would with a regular option. And so it makes the math really easy. But in this case, since this is a call debit, I am now selling to close. That's going to open up this closing order screen that you see here in the red. And again, it's a sell debit. You're flipping it around, which the broker's going to do automatically for you to put on a closing order. Now, like I said, the important thing here is you're not just closing it for the current price, you're going to put in the price that you want. So even if it's trading for 50 cents right now, you could come in here and put a 95-cent limit order. And then if you make sure this is set to GTC, because the default is going to be set today, that order is now going to sit in your broker until expiration or until it's filled. Okay, so you go in, you create the closing order, you choose the credit that you want to close it for, you make sure it's set as a GTC, and then you confirm the order and send it off. That's in ThinkOrSwim, but it works very similarly in other brokers. And so, for those of you asking, how do I set a target? That's how you're just creating a closing order ahead of time and putting in the limit that you want. So just wanted to cover that. I literally got like 4 or 5 emails just in the last day from people asking, how do I close out a trade early? That's exactly how. You just want to create that closing order there as well. John asked about the QQQ trade. I haven't hit my target yet. No, I'm a couple pennies away, John, from my target on that one. Let's see what it shows. It shows I'm 3 pennies away right now from the mid price there. So hopefully today, one little extra push, and we should be in pretty nice shape there on our automated options.
Nice. Or time. Time's your other best friend there too. Time going away, that is.
Yeah. Rick asked, Graham, maybe you know this, on E-Trade, it's good for 60. I assume that means good for 60 days. Maybe they have a good for 30, good for 60, good for 90 days option there.
Yeah. I used to have E-Trade. I think that's what it was. Good for 60 days.
So that would work, if your expiration is less than 60 days away, Rick, as it usually would be, it's basically the same as, good till expiry.
Yeah. Max profit is spread minus debit paid. Correct, Phil. So if it's $1 spread and you paid 50 cents, your max profit is $1 or divided by 50, which is going to be 2. And then you subtract out your initial stake, so 100%. Phil, hopefully that made sense. Because you
always start with the width of the spread, and then go from there. And just because I can't help myself, I should mention the income machine does that math for you when you're setting it up on the income machine.
Nate, so do my calculators that you manually have to punch everything in.
Hey, I love the calculators too. Don't get me wrong.
Great.
I love the calculators.
They're great. Do debit spreads close themselves at expiration? EpiPen is asking. If they're all the way in the money, yes. They should auto-exercise both sides for a max profit. If they're all the way out of the money, yes, they would just expire worthless. If you're somewhere in between the 2 strikes, you might want to exit early on Friday, probably by 3 p.m. I know some brokers force close them around 3:30.
Yep. And by the way, we took some of these common questions recently. Let me find the specific YouTube video for that, because I thought it was a good one and answered a lot of those common questions. How do I close? What happens if it's below? What happens if it's in between? We answered some of the most common questions. So I'll post that YouTube link in there for you folks if you have more questions about kind of how the actual function, the risk to reward, all that stuff works, and you can check that out down the road.
And Nate, you do have a income machine class today, right?
We're going to be live trading today, 2:30.
Nice.
I assume, since I've beat everyone over the head for the last 2 weeks, that every single person in here is already a member of the income machine and will be with me at 2:30. Give me a yes in the chat if you'll be with me at 2:30. And if for some reason, somehow, you have missed it, you've not taken advantage, I'll pop a link in the Telegram, as I always do, to give you another crack just to make sure you're in there before. All right. Yeah, we got everyone. Rick, Susan, Jean, Faith, Peter, Jason, Dave, CB, Don, Barbara, Mike. Okay, I can't read all these names. There's 150 more names now. Okay, Rafi, Joe, Jennifer, Pat, thank you all. Larry, sorry I didn't shout everyone out. We will see you here at 2:30, and I will try to shout out your name at 2:30 on the live class. We'll do some live trading and some good stuff there. Also, a couple more features already updated for you folks. Just a couple days later, I already got some new features for that. 3 p.m., Keith, is the Thursday masterclass, but today is 2:30.
Cool. Well, we'll go ahead and get going with the weekly breakdown. Again, if you're new here, every Tuesday, I do my breakdown on the stock market, look at some of the internals, the metrics, where I think the stock market is going over the next week or two. And we have some exciting stuff to cover today on that front. Now, my Telegram of the week, I always try to highlight a Telegram of the week. If you're not in Telegram, here's the link to join my Telegram. I've done 2 of these 60-minute income trades, as I call them. Typically, we enter around 10 and we hit our profit within about 60 minutes, well before lunch. Shared a few with you guys, and if you want to keep seeing those, I will be sharing those every now and then on Telegram, sometimes in here. We're still working through polishing it all up, ironing out the fulfillment for that, what it would look like to make it as easy as possible for you guys to use. But we are two for two so far on Friday and Monday. Today looks like we might not get an entry, but even so, with the news this morning, maybe wouldn't take it anyways. But if you guys were curious, I showed you I did a back test on it all the way back since the inception of SPX. It was about 83% win rate. Did some fine tuning on it a little more over the weekend yesterday, and this is where we're up to now since February, with a 547 profit factor, 88% win rate. Again, with the strategy typically paying before lunchtime. So really exciting stuff. Something to keep an eye out there. I'll share more with that along the way as we continue on this journey. For the morning market update, obviously the big news is the ceasefire. I think ceasefire agreement last
Cease,
night. Cease-ish fire.
cease-ish fire. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens here. Obviously, the markets really like the news, up nicely overnight. Did look like Israel did do another bombing after the ceasefire agreement was up. So, hey, I'm not a military intel guy. I don't know everything that's going on. You guys may have more insights than I do, but I'm just catching up with what I can see in the news and hoping for the best here. Hopefully, we get a peaceful resolve here and the markets can kind of continue higher without this uncertainty in the air. But we'll see. That is the big news driving the markets today and why we're up so nicely at the open. Pretty similar to what you see here. The screenshot was a few minutes ago, but we are within 0.05% of these numbers for the most part across the board. So really
Hey,
good
Graham.
move. Yep.
Sorry to cut you off with a random note. Keith was right. The most recent alert did say 3 p.m. ET today. It should have said 3 p.m. Thursday and 2:30 today. So I'll get that corrected. But sorry for the confusion there. It's 2:30 today. Sorry about that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. For economic reports this week, we had consumer confidence just hit this morning, lower than expected. Markets did not move on the news at all. We have Powell speaking now and tomorrow morning, and then GDP on Thursday. That's going to be our big report of the week, and also PCE on Friday. But nothing that I don't think anything here is going to move the markets crazy unless we get one big miss or big over. We smoke expectations. But I do think GDP will be the biggest one on Thursday morning. But again, that's all pre-market data. So we'll know by the time we do this opening playbook session at 10 a.m. kind of how the markets are responding to that. For next week, the big important thing, and it's my favorite holiday of the year, I think. If I don't want to misspeak, but I'm pretty sure it's my favorite. I've dubbed it as my favorite. 4th of July next week on Friday. So the markets are closing early Thursday, closing at 1 p.m. on Thursday next week, and then they're closed all Friday. So it'll be nice long weekend for everyone who gets to take part and enjoy that special extra hot holiday this year. It looks like. I know it's been real toasty where I'm at. So that'll be nice. But just know that you won't be trading on Friday. We won't have opening playbook on Friday unless, Nate, you have other plans that I don't. And then Thursday, markets close early, 1 p.m.
Uh,
Um,
you don't want to just trade crypto live all day on
yeah,
July
we
4th?
should. Yeah, the markets sleep, but crypto never does. Classic. No, I'm going to enjoy my long weekend. We do have unemployment next week, but that's a very typical normal report. For charts of the week, I just pulled two for you guys, one bullish and one bearish. I like to give you guys both perspectives. This is overlaying Trump's tariffs from his first term in office. That's that 1.0 chart, as compared to where we are now in this 2.0 tariff cycle. As you can see, most of the volatility happens right away. Happened in the first round, happened definitely in the second round. We all felt that one. But from here on out, pretty good and smooth. And I'll show you how that lines up with the presidential seasonality too. So to me, this is bullish that we're kind of through the madness, it seems. And I think we all have kind of seen that firsthand where Trump would say something about tariffs and the markets would move 3%. Now he says something and the markets move 0.5%. So in my opinion, most of the volatility with the tariffs is over or at least suppressed for now, which is really good for us. With that said, we have seen institutional investors reducing their stock exposure. So if you look at here, the non-dealer net positions in the S&P 500 futures is to its lowest level in 14 months. Now, this could be seen as a bearish signal. That's why I wanted to share it to give you guys just another opposing view. However, if you guys remember, everybody in the news made fun of retail and your at-home investors for buying the dip back in April, and they said, haha, idiots. Wall Street always wins. They're always right. Well, they were dead wrong. They were selling into that news And the markets, what they did, they went right back higher and we're almost at all-time highs again. So I'm not overly concerned by this. I mean, we've seen this dip happen before plenty of times and the market's responding positively. So this is your bearish news. This source, the Kobisi letter, they're awesome. They give a lot of good information, but like 9 times out of 10, they try and freak you out and show you a worst case scenario. So it's just a good reminder to keep everything with a grain of salt. There's a lot of factors moving the markets right now. For the overall broad market overview, last class I told you, right now is a coin flip. We don't have a lot of bullish catalysts at the moment, especially after CPI came in very, very good and healthy, but the markets didn't buy it up. We also saw momentum go neutral. So I said, I think we're going to probably chop around here, maybe head a little bit lower. And that's what happened over the last week, pretty much to a T. Now today we are going higher. We're still in that zone right there where that white line is. But let's go ahead and see, where do we go from here? Well, first off, if we're looking at the fear and greed index, which is a cool metric, kind of looking under the hood of the stock market, we were greed, greed, greed multiple weeks in a row. Now we are back to neutral, which to me is not a bearish sign. That's just a good sign that, hey, the markets have cooled off. The markets have taken a breather. We needed a breather. We just had a, I mean, look at this massive rally, insane rally from the April lows. We're just in a healthy breather right now. This is very, very good for us. The CPC, which measures the options traders, is not overextended one way or the other. We're right there in the healthy middle point where I believe we can go higher from here without running out of fuel in the tank. If we look at the percentage of stocks above the 50-day moving average, which gives us a good kind of gauge of how many stocks are headed higher or lower at the time being, again, healthy breather. We saw this similarly last week, where we're just seeing a nice hell. You can't really see it on the S&P. If you look at the S&P, it looks like it's gone sideways, which it has. But if you look at the individual stocks, about 10-20% of them took a little bit of a breather over the last 2 weeks. And here's the stocks above their 200-day moving average. It's just gone sideways since May. So this isn't bullish or bearish in my opinion, without further context. But given the context, I see this as very bullish. We kind of refueled the tank. We have gas in it now. We're not running on fumes here. We have what we need to go higher. And if the ceasefire sticks, I think we will get there. Another reason for my bullishness right now is seasonally speaking. June is typically a flat month in the market. So this is the S&P by month. June is flat. July is positive. Here in the summer chop, July is our best month of the summer. And if we break it down bi-weekly, second half of June, let me see, first half of June, kind of, they net out even. Second half of June is typically bearish, but looking ahead towards next week, most bullish week in the stock market, or 2 weeks, I should say, is coming up here very soon in about 6 days. So we're about to enter the seasonally most bullish time in the stock market. And the second half of July is also bullish as well. So not only have we taken that appropriate breather that we needed, adding fuel to the tank, but seasonally speaking, we're about to hit the gas pedal again. But that's not all. If we look at the presidential patterns, which we've been tracking this all year long, June is typically a down month seasonally, but July here, going into July, that does not look too bad to me. That looks like up and away, about 2.5% on average from this period through the end of July, when there's a new term in the White House. So that's where we are right now. First year of the new term. July is typically a time where we see the stock market going higher and higher. So I told you guys back in April, I said this is a bottom, time to buy. I think we're going to see all-time highs in June. I've since then, last week, I said, you know what, with CPI, my catalyst for all-time highs in June was CPI being lower than expected, markets skipping higher from there. Markets faded the CPI news. So I said, well, you know what, maybe we won't get June, but I definitely believe with a very, very high degree of certainty that we are going to see all-time highs in July. And I'm sticking by that. Maybe we'll see June. I don't know. We got to get, another 10 points here on the SPY to get all-time highs. So about, what is that? 2% or so, a little under 2% from here. So we could definitely still see it in June. But if not June, then July. So my upcoming prediction is that we are starting to heat up going into July. The July heat is coming. We all like a nice hot summer. And July is a hot, hot time in the stock market. I think the S&P, NASDAQ, and many, many stocks who haven't yet seen their all-time highs hit again since that February peak. I think we're going to see that here in the next few weeks. So for me personally, this is a time where I've started adding to some positions or increasing some position sizes. I took a larger than usual stake on GE and Progressive. I'll walk you through Progressive here, but also like Meta, GEV, also great stocks that I've been trading as well. For the earnings that are coming up, we are kind of in a dead-ish zone for earnings, but we do have some big names. We have Micron on Wednesday after the close, and we have Nike retail. Sorry, my phone. Let me turn this off real quick. We have retail starting back up again here with Nike on Thursday night. Nike's been a pretty deadbeat stock for a while. I don't really trade it right now, but it'll just be interesting to see what their forecasts are, given the overall prediction of an economic slowdown. We'll see what Nike's seeing coming up. As far as the sectors, breaking it down seasonally, same charts that I've been showing you over the last couple of weeks. I don't like to, I don't change my tune a whole lot. We're just sticking with what the numbers and the data say. Going June into July, communication services, technology are the top ones right there. Healthcare was our wild card, but now I'm not even going to look at healthcare anymore because July, if we look here, is bullish on every sector. So I'm starting to look ahead over the next week into July. I don't care about this June chop so much anymore. I want to see which ones are going to heat up the most here in July. So for the sector strength right now, last class I told you, again, technology, communications, and industrials, which is like the GE stocks or HWM, were the very, very best ones to be trading. We've been trading those over and over again since the dip, and they've worked out really well. We wanted to limit or filter down the stocks we were trading. We didn't want to take a wide basket of every stock out there that looked good. We wanted to stick to these sectors. The week over week strength shifts, nothing really happened. We're still seeing those top three hold strong. But now, with the seasonal patterns, we can open up our basket a bit more. So let me show you why. So I've circled, again, technology, communications, industrials, same ones that we've been doing, trying to stay consistent for you guys. And the reason we're staying consistent is because they are the best and they keep paying. So why would we not stay consistent? But now I've added in discretionary and financial because if you look at July, financials hot, discretionary hot. Again, everything's pretty good in July. So I'm just widening our basket here of stocks that we'd like to focus on over the next month or so. With that said, one more time for fun, I've done this a couple times, but I want to make sure you guys see this if you missed it. A stock that I really like right now. It's my top stock holding. I talk about it all the time. You guys are probably tired of hearing about it, but I'm going to show you one more time if you missed it. It's a stock in the financial sector, which we just added financials back in to a top sector we want to trade. Financials were down in June. Seasonally speaking, that's very normal for financials, like I showed you. But typically after, I don't know where my chart went. Going into July, I'll just show you here. If we look at financials, it typically drops in June, which we saw, and then heats up in July. So again, if with financials already down, that means we have about 3% upside over the next few weeks in that sector. Now, one of the best stocks in that sector is a good old Progressive, PGR. Again, it's my top stock holding. It's paid about 14% annually over the last 20 years, including dividends, which is a really outstanding return. It's like Warren Buffett level of return. It's interesting that one of Warren Buffett's top holdings is Geico. Wait, he owns it, which is also an insurance company, just like Progressive. Makes a lot of sense. Seasonally, Progressive is typically down in June. We saw that, right? We saw that breakdown in June on Progressive. But looking ahead, July and August is the best time of the year to be holding Progressive. On the upside, we're looking about a 9% return in July and August alone, seasonally speaking. This is over the last 20 years. I asked ChatGPT. Sorry, my voice is kind of rocking. We got a little cough going on in the family, but hanging in there. It sounds like I'm hitting puberty. The July and August, very, very good time for Progressive. So in my opinion, this is a very ripe opportunity to be taking Progressive over the next couple of weeks back to that 290 level. It's about 266 right now. My target's on 290. I've got a couple of spreads open. I've got a big stock position in it. And I really, really like this one right now. So in case you missed it, this is my last time I'm going to talk about this opportunity on Progressive. Last chance to ride it with me. And it's one of the on-the-clock stocks. It's on the calendar right now for the 24th, which is today, over the next 18 days, positive average return of 2.5% over the next 2.5 weeks there. And then we know seasonally over the next 2 months, very, very bullish for the stock. So it's one of those things where everything's lining up together. Financials are back to being a strong sector that we like in the mix. Progressive, we can buy at a discount, and seasonally Progressive is a very, very good stock right now. So PGR is the stock right there. Just a bonus. I've been hitting that hammer for the last week or so. And as I said in Telegram, that's not something that I expect it to happen overnight or over the next week. It's going to be a multi-month play. So I'm using the July and August monthly options on Progressive to really take advantage of that right now. Now, if we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, some of the stocks I really like right now. Well, let's start with the Apex top signal of the week. And I'm actually going to go ahead and pull up my Apex indicator now and see if there's anything better. AJG, very similar to Progressive, very similar company. I don't want to necessarily load you up on insurance stocks right now, but that is one that, for the same exact reasons, that looks really good. And it is also an Apex entry. But let me go ahead and pull up the old Apex indicator and let's see what we can find. So, I mean, if you want AJG, there's the info. I've covered it a few times as well. But here's my Apex. Watch this. I'm just going to flip through these. AMD already hit the target. AVGO hit the target. Bitcoin is still in this range right now. Bitcoin is still really, really ripe, in my opinion. It's a good opportunity right now with the target on IBIT, which is the ETF at 66.15. Amazon's a no man's land. Nvidia is one that I gave a few weeks back, and the profit target is 148.94. We are almost at 147 now, so there's still a little bit of opportunity left here on this current Nvidia opportunity. But if we look at the momentum, look at how the momentum on the weekly has just been increasing. And then if we look at the daily too, positive momentum on the daily. So Nvidia is a stock I really like right now, especially when I talk about heating up in July. Nvidia is one of those that I think Nvidia is going to print new all-time highs here very, very soon. Let's keep flipping through. Meta already hit the target. Microsoft hit the target. Progressive, I already talked about Progressive. Lilly is one that you could trade. Healthcare is typically hot in July, but like I said, I'm focusing on the strongest sectors right now. Healthcare is not a strong sector, so I would probably pass on Lilly right now with that overall knowledge. I do have a Lilly trade open though, just to be clear, just to trade this Apex signal. But if I only wanted the best of the best, I would look towards tech, discretionary financials right now. Oh, these are moving on me. Let me flip through real quick here. See if there's anything else that I can give you other than another insurance stock. Too many of these keep hitting the target. That's the issue at the moment. I do have Costco open. Great stock to buy at a discount right now. But I guess there's nothing really ripe right now. Typically, this will process new entries by Friday. So maybe at the end of the week, we can check back and see what's happened in the markets. But right now, the top one, that's one I can give you is AJG. I put a couple asterisks there because that is very similar to Progressive. They'll probably trade pretty they're highly correlated stocks. So if you want to take one or the other, feel free to do that. If you want to take both, you can do that as well. But AJG with a profit target of 358 and a stop price of 284, a little bit wider targets here on that stock. For another seasonally hot stock right now, it also happens to be in the financial sector. It's amazing how everything kind of lines up together. Is Morgan Stanley a bank stock right now? And let me pull up Morgan Stanley on a chart, up 1.1% today. They have earnings on July 16th, so I wouldn't look to trade it through earnings per se. But what's interesting here is that this average seasonal hold time actually goes through earnings. So we've seen companies like Fortinet, for example, is a stock that every February I talk about nonstop because they beat their February earnings for the last, I think, 12 years in a row. I don't know why February is so special for them. I don't know why the stock always seems to outperform them, but it does. In 12 years in a row, Fortinet has beaten their earnings like clockwork. Morgan Stanley is also one of those that typically sees a July earnings beat. So I personally, if you want the least amount of risk, would not say don't hold Morgan. I would say do not hold Morgan Stanley through the earnings. However, if you want to just play the odds, play the numbers, Morgan Stanley typically beats its July earnings. So it is a 23-day hold time starting on the 26th. And if you wanted to trade it pre-earnings, I would go here and use the 11th of July expiration options here. And let me just see the prices. So the wrap order right now is at 56 cents. When I say wrap order, we're just doing a call debit spread, wrapping the current price of the stock. Current price is 135.56. So we're going to buy the 135, sell the 136 at about 55 cents right now, which would give you a, oops, what did I do?
By the way, MS is income machine trade as well from our last masterclass.
Oh, perfect. So about an 81%, man, my voice, wow. My 81% return on investment here if Morgan Stanley gains about 40 cents, which is not very much. That's less than 1%. That's less than, is that less than half percent? Seven, yeah, it's less than half percent over the next couple of weeks. So let me type this up for you guys here. We got a couple questions on a progressive trade. I'll do one for you guys too there as well. I'm going to open up my opening playbook trade sheet for you guys. All right, today's date, June 24. Hot sheet entry on Morgan Stanley. 11 July expiration. I'm going to buy 135 and I'm going to sell the 136 call. I wouldn't look to pay more. I would just let it sit at 55 cents. And here it comes in the chat for you guys. Keith, I'll take a look. All right, so 55 cents. I'll go ahead and ship this one off just to show you guys. So see if it fills. I'm not going to rush in or anything, but basically to show you visually, if Morgan Stanley is above the crosshairs right here, so tiny, tiny move, it could chop around, go nowhere, and just make a tiny move. I'll make about 81% return on investment. That's how I typically trade. If you want to, because Morgan Stanley typically gains 6% during this time, keep in mind that is earnings included. If you want to hold through earnings, you could go down to the 18th of July and go a little bit out of the thing. And let's see what this looks like. It's going to be a little bit the prices are increased just because of the earnings event. Wow, those are really jacked up. I wonder what it looks like over here. Man. Okay, so there's not really a great option here for trading pre or to hold through earnings. So I'm just going to stick with what I posted there in the chat. I would look to hold till expiration, yes. If we get closer to this earnings date and you guys remind me, we can take a look at this as well. On Progressive, let me see the ones I have. I did 18 July and 15th of August. You can see my positions here. So with Progressive, again, I think we're going to get 290 by end of August. But I'm going to play conservative and do 275, cut it in half. So what I did here is, let me just give you the August ones. These are going to be the safest play. If Progressive, let me type this up. Ticker is PGR. We're using the 15th of August expiration. We're going to buy the 270 and sell the 275. In my opinion, this is very conservative. You can go more aggressive if you want, but let me walk you through this one. So again, we expect Progressive to continue that typical bullish seasonal pattern. Tell me if I made an error on that. I don't think I did. These are the ones I have trading at 235, which means 5 divided by 235. We get 112% return on investment if Progressive is above these crosshairs right here by expiration. So where these crosshairs are, it does not need to make that full recovery like I anticipate. I'm playing conservative here in the middle. This would be what I call an out of the money debit spread or an elite trade where we get a little bit above 100%. In this case, if Progressive doesn't even make that big of a move, let's say about 3.5% over the next 2 months. It typically averages anywhere from 4 to 9%. I only need 3.5% to make over double my money. So that one is there in the chat as well. That's the current position I have on Progressive. Let me take a moment here, pause for any questions we might have before continuing. And my voice is hanging on by a thread. Progressive does have earnings. Okay, good point. Progressive has earnings on 7/16. However, if you look at Progressive earnings in the past, it doesn't really move on earnings. Never really has. This might be a bad example because it did move there, but typically this is very normal for an earnings for Progressive. Basically, no move. Earnings for Progressive, no move. It's just not a stock that moves on earnings. So that's a good point, Ron, but I typically just ignore the earnings for Progressive. They probably say the same thing every single time. Can I post some Morgan Stanley trade again? Yeah, let me post this here. All right, let me see these questions. You looked up Progressive with the income machine. CB, did it work? I'm curious. Is there an easy way to get a list of stocks which are in these categories? I'm guessing you're talking about the sectors we like. I should produce. Let me make a note. I'm going to make in Stock Fetcher similar to this, just each sector, so that we can just easily flip through them. That would actually be a really cool feature to add in. Uh, um, oops, sorry, I need to take a note for myself. Make 11 sector individual stock scan. We can cover that. I'll build it this week and we'll do it next week. It'll actually make our life a lot easier. I typically know the stocks that I like in these sectors, but it would be great to just have a list of bam, we can see the strongest and weakest. Amazon has a throat spray that works well. I actually did some throat spray before this as well. My wife went to CVS and got me some. But it's probably fading off. Can I add the ROI on investment in the chat? Yes, let me add that. The let me just show you. So like this Morgan Stanley one, and by the way, if you're an Opening Playbook VIP member for $1, you can get this doc that we just posted in after the class. The way we calculate ROI is based on risk. So here is our spread on Morgan Stanley. It's a $1 spread, right? 135 to 136 is $1. So the most we can sell it for is $1. Now we are going to pay no more than 55 cents. So our entry, we're going to divide it by our entry. So we're hitting the divide button, 0.55. So our profit here, we're going to take out our entry by just subtracting 1, 81% ROI on MS. 81% if MS above 136 by expiration. And then progressive, same thing. The difference here is $5. We're paying 235, so I'm going to do 5 divided by 235. And I'm just going to subtract 1 to take our entry cost out, 112%. 112% ROI potential if PGR above 275 by expiration. So I'll just post these all in the chat again one more time. Let me read the chat here. Filled on PGR 230, nice. Bob, do I typically trade the same stocks over and over? That's a good question. I do. I have a basket of about 15 stocks that I watch every day. Sometimes it's like 20. And then I'll trade them over and over again until they lose momentum or fizzle out. A good example of that was like Lilly was one that we traded almost every week for almost a year. And then now, over the last couple of months, it faded out. And that was one that we haven't really traded actively for about half a year. We did start taking some new ones on it as it was heating up a little bit, but that's a good example. And then I'll add others to the list as well. So, but typically, like stocks like Progressive, all of the Mag 7s are pretty active traders for me. And then I'll look when we do these breakdowns. When we do these breakdowns like this, I typically have a list of stocks in these sectors that I like industrials. If I know we're trading industrials, it's probably going to be GE or HWM. And if those stocks are terrible, then I would pull up the industrial sector and look at some more. I will be covering Nvidia today. Can we see meta trade? It showed a little on screen. I'm not sure what you're talking about with the meta trade on screen. I do have a meta position open with the 11th of July expiration, but I don't think I shared one today. Yeah, these should be in the opening playbook section of the members portal. Let me go ahead and just drop that. I'm pretty sure everyone here should probably have this by now. It's $1 to get the members portal for a lifetime. There's no crazy fees or anything, just so we can put everything in one central location for you guys. All right, last but not least, am I giving the 60-minute trade today? The 60-minute income trade? Good question. Let me go ahead and pull up the charts and just show you why we did not have an entry today. So our breakout range, like I told you, and by the way, I told you yesterday, I just drew a chart just real quick to show you that the breakouts normally happen about 80% of the time. With the options we're using, this one actually paid because we had a big enough move. It was right here at 11 where it ended up working out. So I put an X on it just to show the breakout didn't work, but the options actually paid. So today's breakout range, you can see here on the XSP, opened higher, doesn't matter. All we care about is that first 15 minutes of the day, marking the breakout range, but the markets never closed outside of that range before 10:30. So there was just no direction today, no high conviction trade. So I didn't share one today, um, which is fine. But we get entries about 4 or 5 times a week, and then there are occasionally times where we don't get entries. I'll just show you. And then I'm going to show you something cool too. So like here, no entry, no entry. See, like no conviction, no move, no conviction, no move. So that's why we just want the days that look like this, or the days that look like that. I know this is kind of small, but and then on days like this, to give you guys an example, sometimes we'll get breakouts in both directions before 10:30. I just take the first signal and go from there. So this one hit right here by about noon. But nothing today. Nothing today to talk about. We're out of the 10:30 window. So we're done. Moving on to the next day, which is totally fine with me, especially when you consider that overall, again, this is since February, since we've been monitoring it actively. Pretty stinking awesome. Let's make this a little, oops, make this a little bigger for you guys. So I'll be talking more about this in the days and weeks ahead, but it's really, really got me excited. I actually had a dream last night about this trade. That's how excited I am about it.
You're dreaming about trades now?
Yeah, I know it's super lame, but it's what I'm into. Um, let's see, stocks. Yeah, the stocks have earnings this week. Let me pull that up again one more time, and I'll show you where I get that too. Here's the stocks with earnings this week. If you go on Earnings Whispers, they normally post all the stocks with earnings. I get mine just from Twitter or X.com, whatever you want to call it. I still have a hard time calling it X. But if you just search Earning Whispers on X, they typically post this screenshot every week, and I just share it over here with you guys. Makes it really easy to see. Uh, uh, um, let's see. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at stocks that have good momentum right now. Like I said, Nvidia is one that I think could lead the way. If I'm right about June, July heating up, getting that July heat, Nvidia is one I like a lot right now. I'm actually long Nvidia right now, but let's see what other stocks are looking good.
By the way, Graham, Micron is on earnings, and Micron has come back to life. I don't know if you've seen Micron. Remember had like a
Oh
horrible
wow, yeah,
sideways and dump, and then just recently is really coming back to life, powering up. So maybe not when I trust to trade right now, but
right.
it's been heating up like
Yeah, I
crazy.
mean, if you look at the last few months, flip green on the momentum, and yeah, you're right about that. Did CCL reported this morning? I'm guessing a B, yeah, with the other cruise lines up. Old cruise liners. All right, let's just flip through. That is not a stock for me. I want to see a stock that's trending higher here. Wells Fargo's a good one right now. Let's look at this. They do have earnings coming up, but we said we like financials. I'm overlooking you with financials today, so please don't take every single one of these. But Wells Fargo, you can see here the Newton indicator just flipped green today. We know we like financials going into July, so WFC is a good one to look at. I'll keep flipping through. I would love to see. And this scanner is just for the ones that just flip positive today. I've never traded this stock before. NI.
I don't even know what that stock is.
That's weird. Utility stocks. So we do like utilities. I mean, it's a solid sector. Utility stock here, NI, could be a good one for you guys. I'm not going to trade all of these. I've got enough trades open right now, but just wanted to flip through these. Fox has been a good one for a while. Just flipped green, positive momentum today. Fox A, same thing. So that's what you got from here. WFC, NI, and Fox were the best ones. I do like Nvidia right now. It's getting really close to its all-time highs. Trading similar to the QQQ. Getting really, really close. Man, Nate, I should have just
Hey,
stuck with the prediction of all-time highs in July or in
I'm on
June.
record. I'm on record. I said I'm still going for it.
I folded last week. I said I don't think so. But
We'll see.
this looks like something. I mean, we got a couple days here.
The SPY is going to be a little harder. Right? It's going to have to break through, but we'll see. QQQ is looking good.
Yep.
Nvidia and ripping. And by the way, is Tesla's down today, right? Yeah, Tesla's. I mean, not down huge after yesterday, but just down a little bit. And QQQ is still ripping up 1.25% or so.
It's funny to me, Nate. This is not a technical indicator, guys. This is what we drew up for you guys back in February. We had a roundtable. Everyone was hating on Tesla. Nate and I were the only two to stick up for the poor company. Nailed some huge, huge winners on Tesla. But we drew this midline as kind of like a resistance point, and you can see it's resisted it 1, 2, 3 times. A break above this line in the sand here, I think, again, like Nate predicted, we're going to see something like this. Resistance, resistance, bam. That robo-taxi thing looks pretty cool.
It looks
I'm excited about
unbelievable.
Tesla.
I've still got a couple things on Tesla. Obviously, I wish I would have held my, whatever I got up to there. I had like 180 grand of TSLL or something that I wish I would have held on to. But I still got the 390, 400 calls, which I think were either from the roundtable or an opening playbook shortly thereafter with Tesla beat down and a couple other opportunities. So looking forward to that. I think we have a separate one in Dream Portfolio as well for Tesla. I just, again, it's not that I have the highest confidence in Tesla stock. I just thought after it got beat down, the best risk reward you're going to find in the entire market there with what it's always done on 40, 45, 50% pullbacks.
Yeah. I really like Tesla right now. Now, we do have Nvidia heating up right now. I'm just trying to take a look. Current trade on Nvidia up 63%. Ooh, there goes my voice again. This is going to be a fun rest of this class. But Nvidia is leading the pack. Up 64% now on the options there. Let me go ahead and talk about Nvidia a little bit more here for any of you guys who want to trade this with me. We are seeing the uptick. We had that big move coming out of April. We traded Nvidia the whole way. It was awesome. And then a little bit of chop last week, but you can see the momentum picking back up again today and this week. And if we do get this July heat, I think Nvidia is going to be a pack leader here. Congrats, Hank, on that win. Let's go ahead and flip over here and talk about Nvidia for a moment. If you guys are cool with that.
Dude, I love Nvidia right now. I mean, honestly, I'm not like the biggest Nvidia like long term. It's definitely going to win, but when you get these market cycles where it's clearly like the leader of the pack and there's excitement and optimism in the market, it's one of those situations where I really believe you don't overcomplicate it. Stick with the lead horses that are ripping and that most people are going to be excited about, and let them outperform. I think just like 2024, we saw, how many people said, "Oh, the market's overextended," or got to play it safe, or whatever kind of things sound nice to say out loud. And the people who just said, "No, I'm going to take the leaders. I'm going to take Bitcoin, Nvidia, and the leaders of the pack in this kind of market rally," absolutely dominated. And I think if, like you said, we got a little room now, a little breathing room in the overall market. Certainly feels like we're headed to all-time highs. Certainly feels like Mag 7 is going to lead the way, and Nvidia is still the king right now of the Mag 7. So I think it's one not to get too cute overthinking, and just kind of while it's leading, take advantage of it.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about it. We've been nailing these cycles for the most part. Not every trade's going to win. You guys know this.